Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for being here today with the community. So today I'm going to cover the session about building product in Web3. The reason why I cover this session because this week and the next week there are two major events in Vietnam. There's a major like the first event is the Solana coding camp. So basically, it's not 1 week; it's a whole month, and I will be a supporter for the Solana community in here. I hope that I can bring some very good project and very good ideas for Hectagon, so we can invest in those beautiful ideas. And in this event, I got this slide. So actually, this is not my slide. This slide comes from the guy named Scribble. You can see at the right end the bottom end on the right hand side of the slide. I don't think he's happy or not if I say slide, but actually it's already public. Um, so this slide comes from a very experienced guy. This is an Indian guy. He's working with like most uh, Silicon Valley great company, and he's working on Web3 for a few years. So so I think this is a beautiful thing and very good thing I want to say with the community to have a better understanding about how other people view at the Web3 step. It is not our view. This is I just want to repeat. It is not my view. This is the Solana founding like Solana called one of the like Solana dev kind of not really the core team, but it's very close to the core team and how they view the state of Web3 right now. So I might want to get started. So on the first line, you see that there's a chart. There's a, on the left hand side, there's a word that we are severely. On the majority, but it's just very few people say that. On the majority, you see people say that okay, in Web3 there's no use case, only Dogecoin and monkey token. So basically, it's a scam. And on the right hand side, some people say merge gap retail user ASAP. So basically, the there's three type of people who talking about use case in Web3 that one is the majority people say this is scam and there's no use case at all. Very few people say that use case. So we will take a really deep look at this and we have some analysis on this. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. So before we started, there's a meme that they say that the open metaverse is defaulted. Why? We say not because that we not believe in the open metaverse, that in the future the data is open and we can build whatever interface we want to display whatever kind of information we want. So the data is in our hand and we want to display it the way we want. It is not that the vision is not correct, but right now it's too early to talk about this vision. So the adoption so far is that we just have 3 million user active and the usage linked to token price. And so we don't really have users. We have speculators and crappy UX for self custody and Web3 native apps. The crappy UX is the reason why we have the crisis with the central exchange right now, right? People say that okay, if you come to Web3, then you have to self custody your assets, but actually it's way too high for us for people to do that. It requires not a lot of knowledge to do self custody. For example, even me myself, I'm developer, but I'm not like keeping all of my assets using self custody. I'm using some of the Binance service because I know that it is super hard to do everything by myself and doing it correctly. Uh, so and also the Thai application in Web3 right now is that we have the app with no user at all. And we have like company coming, they're just dipping their toes in the Web3, like Nike or Adidas. They want to do Web3, but they're not really do it right now. We're just testing the water. And we have some company like Web2 company using the Web3 front end. For example, in Step N and all of the kinds of GameFi project that we all see in 2021. Uh, Next slide. Yeah. So, so, so take a look and take a deep breath. And I think we should say stop thinking about Web3 at the moment. We just think about the principle of making a good product. Um, okay, this is the Q&A. If anyone can read the screen, you see that there's a several line here. If the user can spell, it's our problem. If they don't know how to form the query, it's our problem. If they don't know what to use, it's our problem, and so on. So what do you think this slide come from? What company they come from? I think I will spell out 1 minute, 30 seconds for people to try to guess what is this thing, what is this like, what company that this like come from. Okay, do a guess, right? Please try your guess, guys. What company you think it is? Uh, Malaysia say Apple. Who else? Who else has the answer? This is a well-known company. I guess that all of you know this company. Yeah, Lemon got the right answer. It's Google. So this is a slide come from Google, and that's the reason. And if you can look at this slide, and actually you see that this is a roadmap, the product roadmap for Google. Everything they do, they work following to this roadmap, and it is user centric. So come to the next slide. Next, yeah. So today we'll talk about the Scribble. Actually, not me, Scribble. He talked about the tips for building great consumer products. So how he tried to communicate is that right now the Web3 state is that the product people in Web3 they have so many skills. They just don't look at the user. They just have skills. The excuse is that the network is slow. The excuse is that the network is expensive. The excuse is that people have to make custody, have to custody their wallet to use the product. So from script view and from my point of view as well, it is just excuse. And in the coming months and coming year, I think so we will have more and more builders come to the space, and they will no longer have skill, and they will start to build. And this is the tips I think um, unanimously agree between the product builder community right now. So the first one is decentralized matter. So in this one, you see that actually user as a user, they don't really care about decentralized. Actually, they care about the uh, it should be phrased that way. They care about decentralized. That's the reason why they choose Web3. But in every action they make, they will care about the product value and the UX. For example, if I have to choose between two products, whether I want to buy a product from let's say a company that deliver a good product, but then they use child label, and another company who produce a product that is at the same level of quality, but they use like non-fossil fuel and they do something good to the environment. I think most of the time we choose the company number two. So the same thing happens with decentralized. If there's a centralized solution and decentralized solution, but most of the time we will choose decentralized solution. We will take a test with it, but that is on the high level. But on every user interaction, then they will choose the product value because because you are decentralized, I give you a try. But then when I use your product, then it must be easy to use and it bring me value. So this is how user think. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So the principles stay the same. So a little bit more about it. They say that the slow app is a dead app. So whenever you use a decentralized product, you still have to make it super fast. How to make it super fast? You can get it via centralized database. Uh, some name in here. You can use CDN. You can use like many iterations of improving your product to make it the speed is better. So basically, the idea is that uh, when we come to blockchain, the first thing we say that okay, just write a smart contract, then make a very simple UI. But this is not that simple. Actually, the simple UI may turn into that we have an UI, but then we should have a database to fetch all the data and make the app really fast. So, so that is one hint to how to build a product. Next, yeah. The number three principle is that customer don't meet you halfway. So it means that let's say let's say many people say that okay, let's build a social network on Web3. But but if I come to your social network and I see no friend, why should I come? So it just mean like don't assume that because you build a product in Web3 so that people will come. No, you have to provide them value. Uh, so you see that the customer don't you need you hardware also mean that it should be super easy for people to onboard. So you can take a look at the number three, the number two, gaslit onboarding. Uh, what it means by this, we all very familiar with Ethereum and with Ethereum virtual machine. Actually, BSC is the Ethereum virtual machine, but new blockchain they have a different approach. And in EVM, every time you interact with blockchain, you have to pay. It is you cannot change it because it's state in the architecture design. But new blockchain like Solana or uh, like Cosmos or Polkadot, they have different principle. And what they do is that they have a trick. The trick is that every time you interact with a blockchain, they don't call it a transaction. They call it a instruction, and they will combine many instructions. And actually, the DApp will be the one that that actually conduct a transaction, and the DApp will be the one that pays the gas fee. So it's a trick that many new blockchain is using. So what they do is that they are going to provide a gas lead onboarding experience in the future. So I think this is a thing that if you take a deep breath and think about like what is going on in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm not talking about years, I'm just talking about next month. So I think you will meet with many apps on the internet and you use it, very easy to use. They don't ask you to pay gas fee or anything. They just ask you to like, do you have a wallet? You use a wallet to log in, and that's all. Actually, those apps they are now they will use a gas lead onboarding process. Like many times you make a transaction, but the one who pay for the transaction is the app. And maybe like in the first 10 days, uh, you don't see the value of the product yet, and they will pay for the gas fee. But on the 11th day, when you already feel the when the value of the product is very clear to you, now it's time for you to pay the gas fee. So I think this tactic will become more and more popular in the next few months, not years, next few months. So this is one thing for us to look at. The next thing is to leverage the user wallet. We are very familiar with the wallet. Now the concept of the wallet is that whenever we have a private key and then we have a wallet, and the wallet is that I cannot transfer the ownership from me to let's say Felicia. That thing cannot happen on Ethereum. But new blockchain they want to do different things. And for example, the Ton network, the company that the network that hosts Binance, the company that Hectagon invested in, they have a concept that every wallet actually is a smart contract. So let's say I have a wallet and I receive some token into that, and later on I can transfer the ownership of that wallet to someone else. So uh, leverage the wallet or wallet abstraction is also one of the trends that you will see more and more coming in the future. So these two things, the three things, is the indication for the investment team to see that if a team is very serious about the product. Because once this thing is like the genie is out of the bottle, it means the own the product community we know this thing and we know and we have practice on that. It means that there's a team and they do a product on Web3 and they are serious about that. I think they will apply this principle. There's no way else because you make a software then you have to make it really good for users. So this is a best practice, and we also have a playbook on this. So this thing will become really popular in the next few months. Next slide. Yeah, and another thing is that you have 1 minute before the people swipe away. So the common conception now is that every crypto user using desktop, I think that thing will be obsolete, and now everything should be mobile focused. Every the app that is serious about their project, they must provide a very mobile friendly experience. That's all. You cannot say that because I'm doing the app and so I just support the desktop user. No. If a company that say that, I think Hectagon is not going to invest in them. Except that they provide a very complex tool for business use case. For example, they are not the app for people to use, but for business to use, or they use the app to to create a workflow for their own DAO. In that case, maybe the desktop only version work, but for the other case, it should be own way. If not, it should be, it must be own way, mobile first UX user interface. So that's another criteria for the investment team to look at a project. If they are serious, then they should be mobile centric. Another exception may be the game because some games they will target the PC gamers and PC gamers they use PC. But I think there's very few exceptions. For the rest, you should expect that a serious product guy in Web3 would be a mobile guy too. And next slide. Yeah, and the next thing is that most people can or won't pay for your product. So that's the reason why we see that uh, we now using Web2, we have like Facebook, we have Google, we have like own other company. We don't have to pay for the product to use it, right? and later on, but because we don't pay, so we become the product, they will monetize us. So I think that principle stay the same on Web3 because the technology change, but the people stay the same. So however, in Web3 we have so many ways to monetize. So monetize basing on not monetize using tokens may be obsolete in the next few months. In the next few months, or maybe I think this one is much harder. But I think in the next year or so, or next few months, we will see startups that they will monetize not using the token. They will use different way to monetize, and you have to just again gas fee onboarding. People is not going to pay for gas fee in the first time they use the product. They don't see the value. They are not going to pay for it. So I think this principle is the golden one that the product community will follow. Next, yeah. So if you must be a composability maxi, so what he mean is that here that um, the one of the most powerful thing in Web3 is that the data is public. So whenever you write a Web3 product, you don't have to. Yes, you do think about your interface, but you have to think about how other people can use your data with their own user interface. So it's like composability maxi. It's a one of the very key concept in blockchain. I think in the coming months it will be more and more popular when you face an app. So they say, let's say you are a AC Infinity gamers, and now we provide you a game interface that does have nothing to do with AC Infinity, but I will use your data in AC Infinity. So I think will become more and more popular as well. So those indicators are the one to show the investment team that if this team is serious about the product or not, or they are savvy in the product community or not. Um, the reason why I thought this because the people who make this slide they come from they are very close to the Solana Foundation, and this is not only for Solana Foundation, but it is close to the Layer One Network Foundation. So this is the knowledge that all the product guys, the serious product guy in the blockchain network, they will know this, they will practice this, and we talk about this in the next few months. I'm sure that they will be the next standard for blockchain projects. Next, yeah. So this, you can read this. So this is one the note that in Web3 that compared to the Google slide that we have earlier. Like if you forget the seed phrase, it is our problem. It's a builder problem. If they connect the wallet to scam link, it's also the builder problem. If they won't or can't pay for gas fee, it's a builder problem. Yeah. If the existing content friends is actually on central platform, so it's also the builder problem. If transactions are too low or failing, it's also the builder problem. And if they don't know how to do self custody, it's also the builder problem. So I think now is the time for builder to make no excuse. Uh, and this thing take a look at this thing. I think this will be like very important indicator for us in the next few months or next few years to look at the product and say if the product guy if the product is serious or not. And I know it will take a lot of time and it take a lot of effort to implement over this, but I think this is the way. Next slide, next slide please, or it's end. Felicia, is the last slide?
Yes, this is actually the last one.
Yeah, okay. So I think I just went through all the slide of the crypto from the Solana community. But there's also a very interesting slide that I share with you guys. You can take a look at it on the chat here. On the chat here, I already pasted the link to the slide. So you can all see the slide and you can read it for yourself and you can use it to evaluate all the projects that you meet along the way. Just like now when you look at the project, don't think like don't look at the project and listen to their promise. They can promise you the moon. No, don't listen to them. Take a look at the product if they follow this principle. And if they don't, and you talk to them about this principle and they don't follow, so I think it's just a warning sign. So this is I think that is my final conclusion. So I already post a link in the chat for everyone to use it. So feel free to use it and ask me if you have any problem understanding the slide. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, K2. That is so helpful. I really love your sharing. So if you just like, I love the whole presentation, but if you just have one advice, for builders out there, what would it be?
So I think if you have just one advice for builder out there, it should be like stop making excuse.
Hmm,
Yes.
totally makes sense. What is the most common in excuses that you have heard from founders lately, builders lately?
Um, uh, People don't use. Sorry, blockchain doesn't work in mobile. It's just
Mm,
one skill that even me, I made it a few months ago.
yeah.
That's one skill. Another skill is that the that like blockchain. In blockchain, it is all about smart contract address. So I don't take responsible if you go to a scam site.
Mm,
That's an skill too. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, yeah, totally agree with it. So thank you, K2, for the sharing today. I think that would be very helpful for both our builders in our channel here, and also as an investor, individual investor, as all of us here, right? When we review a project, we really have to look at the product itself, not just review the project as just a token. So thank you so much, K2, for your sharing. And a side note, after the presentation, that from now on, Hectagon actually from this month, we started to produce content, not just on the social platforms, but also in events like K2. He's joining other developers DAO as well, so that we can help to attract more builders, and long-term value investors into our DAO, into Hectagon DAO as well. To together we bring more practical use cases to Web3, and together we onboard. We have a mission to onboard the next 1 billion users to this space. So thank you so much, K2, and I'm looking forward to have further learnings and sharings from you in the upcoming community calls.
Yeah, sure. Now I think I have connection to like few hundred builders across
Wow.
like China, Indian, Europe. I
Yeah.
think it's very exciting. I will let them know about Hackathon and invite them slowly, invite all of them here, let them share, and yeah, and we can learn a lot from them.
Yep, that would be very helpful. Thank you, K2. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next session of today, which is the weekly investment update. So this week, Ling is going to be the host of this session. So Ling, are you here? Are you ready?
Yeah, hi Felicia.
Hi, Ling. Are you sharing screen?
Yes, I think it should come up now. Yep.
Okay. I see it now. Yeah. Okay, please go ahead, Ling.
Yeah, right. So today we'll cover two themes, right? GDEX and Binge Builder. The third one that was on the agenda called Hippo. It's we just met with the team yesterday, actually, and there are some exciting partnerships that we can do with that team, but it's a little bit too early for us to prepare to cover them. So instead of the third thing, we actually at the end of my update, we will cover a little bit on the programs that we would like to do with the contributors in terms of involving everyone into doing research notes or investment. Okay, so with GDEX team. So GDEX, if anyone remembers GDEX, we have been talking about them, mentioning about them for about like almost 2 months at this point, and we come very close to making decision in terms of making investment or not. But I don't think we ever covered this team in more in depth in terms of the memos. Uh, the information that I show you guys today is the information that will go into the memo, but we haven't been able to finish the memo. but hopefully from the information today, I can give you guys a better understanding of what GDEX does, um, and why we like them, and why we're working on an investment memo for them. So in terms of like the description of what GDEX does, you can go on the website, or the pitch deck, and it said GDEX is a Web3 community gaming platform, consists of a Lego block suite of chain agnostic tools that reduce and improve every step of gaming experience. Yeah, so that's the description of what they do. Just by reading that, it's not very clear on what it does. So hopefully I'll make it clearer today. So if you look at this part, GDEX basically they do a couple of things, a couple of main things that they do. They have a metaverse passport. So basically, anyone playing games on Web3s can create a passport with them, and from this passport, it's working similar to the social profiles product that Hectagon is working on. Whereas our own contributors in Hectagon, for example, you guys contribute value to Hectagons, provide work for Hectagons, and then in returns, the Hectagon DAO can provide you guys with an NFT that prove that you guys have earned how much money from Hectagons, or have what you guys have did for Hectagon in which field, etc. So that's coming in the future. So the metaverse platform GDEX is similar like that, but for GameFi users. So GameFi users can go and play and earn and doing missions in different games. And if they use a same set of wallets and all of that connect to this metaverse passport, basically every gamers will have an on-chain ID that prove their capability in gaming or their investment level in a game, for example. And that's also applied uh, to scholars within game guilds. That might help the scholars to move between guilds easier, because the scholar might be able to prove with on-chain proof that they are a high-value scholars that earn a lot of money for the guild, for example. The second big part that they do is a guild management tool. So um, you guys, everyone probably heard about the biggest guild, which is YGG, but not a lot of people would know that up until very recently, a lot of the guilds, they don't really have any technologies platform that support for their operations. Uh, a lot of them actually using uh, Excel's pen and papers, uh, and just transfer token by hand when they claim the rewards token from the game that they farming, plus when they send out the token to their scholars. So a lot of those work is actually done by hand. And I can give you guys an example. YGG, they have a sub YGG Swiss Asia, and I'm friend with one of the country manager of YGG Swiss Asia, and he like up until 4 months ago, he told me that YGGC, they don't have any technology platform. They did everything by hand. They get the token in by hand. They manage the scholars list by hand. They distribute the rewards also by hand as well. And because that guy is from a technology background, so he told me that up until 4 months ago, that's when he started proposing to YGC that they need to build their own technology platforms to manage all those process. So the platform that YGC is building is actually what GDEX is building, but they build it for for any guild that would like to use their API and connect to their platform to leverage those tools. So um, yeah, and the third major one is the GameFi mission. So this is where they try to make a connection between games, and they try to add more value into the metaverse, into their metaverse passport. So what they propose is, right now every game they have their own reward. They have their own reward system and their own token farming system. Uh, but that's just basically each of those games, and the data those rewards data, it's even though it might record it on the blockchain, but it's not very usable if nobody's know about it, and if nobody's uh, using those data for anything. So what they propose is GDEX. They create a set of API that allow the GameFi project to do two things. The first one is uh, the GameFi projects, they can create a profile, a partnership connection with GDEX, and on there they can create social missions. Basically, on a, you can imagine on a platform like Discord, for example, and you have the game creating different social missions. That's not happening in game, but happening in real life for people to do. And those missions, those people who done those missions have their achievement saved on chain with their passport. But but the second thing is what I'm really interested in, which is the API that GDEX said that they have already allow for the game to also connect their in-game reward system directly into GDEX as well. So any in-game activities that each of the game's players did in games within the game can also be those data can also be later be transferred and readable by GDEX into the metaverse passport. Uh, and for the rest, I think it's you can skip those. So those are the three main functions that I find is very compelling in terms of their visions for what a connecting platforms in the GameFi industry need. Um, yeah. So let's cover another part that I really like about GDEX, which is their their problem statement. Right. GDEX, they GameFi, everybody understand GameFis. GDEX, what we really like about GDEX in terms of their proposal is they look at a bigger a bigger pictures of the market. They look at a bigger picture of the market, and and this is something that at Hectagon we agree as well. Like on web, the people that is on Web3 playing games, that population is really tiny compared to the population of own gamers in the world. And most of the gamers are in Web2. And to bring gamers from Web2 to Web3 is not just about bringing the gamers, right? Because it's not easy to one day playing game on Web2, getting familiar with all the process that happening in Web2, and then one day you just wake up and you decide now that you want to play game on Web3, and you start playing game on Web3. No, if you want to play game on Web3, you have to get familiar with all the concept of wallets, buying tokens, log in with wallet, signing with wallet. All those is all of those going into a bigger pictures of how to bring more people from Web2 to Web3. So when GDEX talk about problems, it's it seems like they really understand within their demographics of gamers on what is the frictions of bringing more gamers from Web2 to Web3, and it's evolved around ease of use, loss of values, uh, like all this information we can public this information together with the investment bank uh, later, so you guys can read it then. But that's go quite nicely with our mindset of how do as a community as a whole, how do we bring more people from Web2 onto Web3? Like for Hectagon, we propose that for people to part of the demographics that will move from Web2 to Web3 is to earn money is to earn more money. In Web tools, we are still very limited by the country that we are in, uh, and by the locations, the geographies that we are in as well. But on Web3, basically, if we are familiar with Web3, we can stay in one country and work for a company, for a DAO in any other countries and earn any form of tokens or money that we like. And uh, and that's quite um, that that is quite empowering for everyone. And so when GDEX talk about, they understand that the core challenge is to bring more gamers from Web 2 to Web 3, and they will provide a set of tools that make it happen seamlessly. That is why we decided to spend a lot of time with them to see how they build that product. Right. So this is an example of what they propose of the product will seamlessly uh, getting users on from Web 2 to Web 3, playing games and start familiarized with Web 3. There's some um, there's some feature here. I can zoom in. For example, on GDEX, you get people, gamers on GDEX can still use single sign-on with Facebook, Google, Twitter account to start out their passport, and also with the wallet. But with the Web 2 users, when people sign up, they don't need to know right away what the wallet is. So I think that's a nice small features that allow for people for ease of transition. And similar to Steam, they can discover new games, join new guilds, track gaming activities, and then there's all sort of like different dashboard. And then only after they play the games and familiars themselves with different games and really enjoy the games, then they only after then that they need to like learn about like what's a token, how to send cryptos, how to create a wallet, etc. So I think it's a correct way of approaching into long-term product building for a project. Now, the third thing that we are quite impressed with the team is how fast they are in terms of doing business development, and I think this also speaks volumes for the um, for the background of the founders uh, of the GDEX team, which we can go through later. But if we look at the timeline that they said they go out and start building their communities, they start uh, building partnership around May of 2022. So it's about 5 months ago, and so far they have signed partnership with more than 60 games, more than 64 guilds. Yeah, the game and the guild is what bring them their scholars and then their followers. But with these two, like 60 game and 64 guilds, that's a really fast partnerships velocity. Um, we talk with a lot of different projects, and not everyone can go out, find guilds, find games, find the appropriate partners, and get partnership that quickly. So that's quite impressive as well. Um, there is something that I like to. Oh yeah. So yeah, on this now, on this, what I really want to highlight, this is related to a fourth point on why we quite like GDEX is. Uh, Let me show you guys this. So every companies when we review them, we send out a due diligence questionnaires where they send us back different informations. For this team, what quite impressive about them is the amount of work and documentation that they has done. If you go to the white paper, the amount of contents that they write on that about the platform is uh, for me is quite good compared to a lot of different projects. Uh, but uh, but this is also hinting into a little bit into why they're able to go to market and also doing partnerships so fast. Like a lot of the documentation that they needed to go to do partnerships, they have done it in a more professional form. Like for example, with the API documentations, or here the core marketing handbook, which is this file. Now the content of this file is probably not relevant for you guys, so you don't really need to read the file. Uh, but the point that I take from this kind of documentation is the professionalism in terms of working. So creating these kind of tools that allow them to go out and talk with different partners is what allow them to move fast. And I don't meet with a lot of projects and companies that work in a similar way. Yeah. So in terms of the investment memos for GDEX, we haven't finished it yet. So I can't really go into the investment memo today. So what I just show you guys is the information that serve as a foundation for the investment memo. And yeah, and in terms of GDEX, they're probably not going to do IDO anytime soon, given the market of this year. But when they were planning IDO for the end of the year and the beginning of the year a couple months ago, we find that they have quite a lot of uh, connection within the markets to side KOLs onto their campaigns. So that's pretty good. Actually, we can actually change you there. I think with GDEX uh they are they are calling fund from us for the seed round, right? But the public IEO round for KOL, they already filled them. Oh, sorry, yeah. Let me see if I can unmute you. Yeah, thank you, Jane. So it's not usual for a project to be able to fill out a public route, which is much more expensive, and then still have the private route open. Uh, but I mean, the 10x that Jane just talked about is on paper, right? It's on paper. So please don't take it as a sign that we should just app in right away, because the long term the long term future of the project is much more important. Given that for the private token, it's get locked and vesting as well. But yeah, so GX is the team that we are focusing on at the moment. We almost finished the investment memo, and then we can send it out soon. The Yeah, Jim. Mm, thank you, Jim. Okay, let's move on to the next team. This team is much earlier in both the developments, like product development cycle, and also much earlier in terms of our own investment pipeline. Uh, but they have some really interesting angle that's why uh, I would like to cover them in our community call. So the second team is Binge Builder. Binge Builder, they basically they want to create an investment. uh, They are at this stage. basically they are an investment now. But their investment thesis is that they are investing in the creator IP. And there's a couple of interesting point about this team. The first one is the founder of the team right now is a really small team, but the founder of the team, he's a he himself is a comedian, and he's been a comedian for more than 10 years already. And what he finds is that after a certain stage, after he built up his reputation, he built up his following, it's become a very lucrative career path because he can create content, push it on YouTube, push it on Spotify, and he can basically live off the royalties forever. And currently, that's where his main income coming from. And so that's give him an idea of okay, so he's a an experienced creator. Now maybe he can also spot serial talent just like him in the past, and make a small investment in them in exchange for a revenue in those created IP. So, like I said, this project is still very early in both their ideation and also in terms of the stage when we looking at them. So, in terms of making investment decisions for this team, it's not going to happen for a while. But the reason that we very interesting is there's two angles. The first one is investing in creator IP. That is something that not just this company is talking about, but there's a lot of bigger players also talking about that. But for binge builders, uh, I find in the model of binge builder is really what actually really suitable for a now models or a models where we can allow the communities to participate in investment is actually in the deal size. Binge builder, they propose that they only need between like $2,500 to $25,000 to to buy a future stake in a KOL future revenue between 2% 20%. And $2,500 to $25,000 is a really small amount of investment money compared to the potential gain. Uh, Let me just give you guys an example. Like last year, if you want to make an investment into a Web3 project, and if you want to be seen as like a serious VCs, you will probably need to have an average deal size of between $200,000-300,000 and up and above. Uh, and and that was last year. For this year's, even though all the valuation coming down, there's much harder for a project to get funding. But to make a meaningful investment into a project, you still need to invest about like $50,000 at least or up. Otherwise it's not really like an investment. But for an investment, if we can do an investment into the creator IPs that only have a size of between $2,500 to $25,000, uh, that means that with a small fund of $200,000 to $500,000, Binge Builder can make 10 to 20 investment. And and in the and I don't know if it's going to be different between creation, like investing in creators and investing in technology companies, but but in terms of portfolio buildings for investing in technology companies, if you can build a portfolio that reaching between like 20 investment in total in your portfolios, usually you get a really safe um, a quite safe portfolios because out of the 20 companies, some will fail, but you almost guarantee that you will have a winners. So if that same ratio is applying into the creators investment field, that's mean with a small community fund of $200,000, $300,000, Binge can go out and making investments and start building the name. So that's the first angle that get us interested in them to continue talking with them. Yeah, you can go on the website to see how they help the creators here in terms of providing the go-to-market strategies for the creators. And the second angle that we are quite interested in Binge Builders has to do with what Hectagon is. If you remember last week, Felicia covered the new narrative of Hectagon, where we'll build tools for others to create their own DAOs, and then we will have a community of different DAOs working together. With the model of Binge Builders, I think it's very possible that Binge Builders, instead of building their own technology platform, they can just use our technology platform and build an investment now on our platform that will create potentially like new use case for Hectagon, new revenue streams for token holders, and expand our communities into a not just investment but into more creative type contributors as well. And with with Binge Builders, I would also want to highlight the research notes that actually coming from one of the contributors, Dre. He's he's the guy that helped us go through all the informations of Binge Builders, the due diligence questionnaires, the pitch deck, and structures every information into a more easy to see and easy to scan form. You can find like the deal size, the structure of the deals, the overview market of being sure what is in their ecosystem, in their model, the traction so far, the investment that they received so far, and also what's they think about different aspect of this project. And and this is what we would like uh, to build further on in the futures. So this is the one of the first research note that done by our contributors, and we would like to, because right now we probably have like more than 150 projects in our backlog that we don't really have enough time to um, to review all of them. So we actually would like to use to use this case as a starting point for our contributors to start also help us looking into the current pipeline that we have and create research note for Hectagon. So yeah, so that's the I think that's the outline of the two themes that I plan to cover today. For the last part, like I said, involving contributors into working with hackathons and learning about investment and earning more money is what we would like to focus on. So so Jean, can you share a little bit uh, on the initiative that you ran with Dre and a couple other contributors, and what's the future outlook for that? Awesome. Yes. Yeah. Let me go back to your notion. Yeah. The UI demo of Binge Builder look quite nice. Um, K2 and Lyman. This is something that we are doing for Hectagon as well, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jean. So, like Jean said, the so this is the outline that the research note will be do on. Anyone who sign up to do research note, usually when you sign up to do research note on a project, what you will get access to is the pitch deck and also the due diligence questionnaire similar to this. And from there you can based on this outline to create a research note and also providing your comments on what you think about the projects in different aspects and also what rating you would give them. So these looking at each of these by itself right now is not, it might not look impressive, but this is coming into a bigger pictures. Let's say if our contributors review a lot of projects, right, and then the results of these research will link directly to the investment decisions, and then it's also linked directly in terms of like in the future if the project or if that project is successful or not, and all that's proof is uh, is um, is on chain. So in the future, let's say if someone want to work like more professionally in an investment field, rather than having to reprove like prove your capability again, you can just send the recruiters to your social profile, and they will know like what deal that you have been involved in doing research on, and what's the success rates looks like. So yeah, so I think that's everything from the investment part of Hectagon. Back to you there, Alicia.
Wow, that sounds so exciting. Thank you guys so much for the updates today. And I'm really looking forward to, what we can call the like social identity, like a lean version of that within Hectagon and our DAO platform, right? So that every contribution will be recognized on chain, and we can bring that everywhere to every other DAOs or every other jobs that we take in the Web3 space. That would be very helpful. Thank you so much, Ling and Jean, for the update today. And I think that's pretty much wrap up our community call this week. So if you guys have any questions, please chat more in the general chat. And if you come by any good reads or any news that you would like to share with other members, please be more active sharing that with other members, and we'd love to discuss more with all of you guys. So thank you so much for joining today, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.